Welcome back to another episode of Kitchen Conversations, where we bake or cook a delicious, practical, easy recipe while we talk about real life things that are heavy on my noggin. And you will know that reference if you are a murder mystery makeup YouTube Monday person, which most people probably aren't, but she does have millions of subscribers, so somebody has to be. I needed to come up with my own intro. The topics that we talk about can be controversial, they can be weird, they can be personal, they can be broad, they can be anything, because it's whatever's heavy on my noggin. I treat this like a podcast, but I get tired of doing nothing with my hands, so I bake or I cook while I do it. Today we're talking about gaining weight as a newlywed. The one and only disclaimer I will make is that weight gain is not always a bad thing. I like to say that there's a difference between happy weight gain and sad weight gain. Just the same way there's a difference between healthy weight loss and unhealthy weight loss. Happy weight gain, I think, is the weight gain that happens through healthy habits and health promoting behaviors. The weight gain that maybe somebody needs to put on to live a more energetic, fulfilling life, more balanced life. Whereas unhappy weight gain is a weight gain that I think comes on through behaviors that we don't like binge eating or overeating, emotional eating, maybe eating out more than necessary, just behaviors that we don't stand behind, that don't make us feel good in the long run. So that being said, you get to choose, and you're the only one that gets to choose if your weight gain is what you consider to be happy weight gain or sad weight gain. Nobody else gets to make that judgment except for you. I will say a lot of the time, most of the time, I hesitate to say most and make generalizations, but a lot of the time our weight gain isn't as happy as we would like it to be. Over the years, before I got married, I spent several years working with clients, and during my first year of marriage, same thing. And I would have a lot of people come to me a year after they've gotten married or several years after they got married and say, you know, before I got married, it wasn't like this for me. I never struggled with my weight. I was happy with it, like whatever, all these different things. But after they got married, weight started coming on, and it started coming on fast, and they didn't always know why. Now, before I got married, I was like, okay, obviously your routine has changed. What's changed more than anything else? Your routine. So it's most likely your routine and the different health behaviors that started with your husband or with your wife that brought on that weight gain, right? After getting married and experiencing it for myself, I still think that's true. I just think that maybe there's a deeper level to it. Now I feel like I have a little bit more insights firsthand. Now, most clients come to me because they want weight loss. We work on building healthy habits and finding their, quote, happy weight. So the weight that they can sit at with healthy habits that they enjoy, that they stand behind without being restrictive or putting their body through hell and back. It's something they can sustain for a really long time. So your happy weight is the weight that you learn to feel really confident in. Most likely most of the time it's a slight trend down on the scale. Not always. I teach you how to eat like a normal person with basically healthy habits. That's basically what I do. I'm sharing these common reasons why I think people gain weight when they get married because I like you. I want to share it with you because I feel like if I can gain these insights and create tools subsequently on how to make it an easier transition and how to prevent unwanted weight gain, then why the heck wouldn't I share it with you? Right? Everyone goes through experiences in life that are often different than others, or maybe they come up with just different insights than someone else. And by not sharing it with each other, we kind of rob each other of the experiences that you or I might not have. So by sharing it with each other, we just get more tools in our toolbox. And if you find yourself in this situation, I want you to be able to have the tools that my clients have and that I have. I think that's only fair, right? Why gatekeep? That's what the kids call it these days. If you don't share something like that, they call it gatekeeping. So obviously, I think the most obvious reason why it's easy to gain weight when you first get married is that your routine, it changes. There's someone else in it. Oftentimes, you move houses and that alone changes something. Maybe you used to eat breakfast alone and go to the gym before breakfast, but now you eat breakfast with your partner, so you wait for them, and then, you know, that cuts into your gym time and whatever. So your routine changes, which I think is the most obvious reason. Which leads me right into the next one, is that you're choosing other people over yourself. And here's what I mean by that. So let's say your spouse likes to eat breakfast at 9 a.m. and you like to work out at 9 a.m. But now you're married, and you want to like prioritize your partner and compromise and be there for them and not argue, so you just eat breakfast with them. And like, it's a beautiful experience to get to share normal, mundane things with the person that is your person. Like, hello, why wouldn't you want to do that? But the problem is now you're putting their needs and wants over yours. Or a better example maybe is, I'm going to use a personal example because it's the best example I got. The best insights I have are obviously the insights I've experienced myself. I am an early sleeper. I've always been an early sleeper. Never been one to stay up very late. 9 o'clock is my bedtime. Or not really, maybe 10. My husband is a night owl. He prefers to stay up late. He goes to the gym pretty late. He comes home pretty late. He eats pretty late. So I, in the first several months of us being married, would kind of unintentionally stay up and wait for him when he got back from the gym. Sometimes I would go with him, but most of the time I would get my workout in earlier and I would just wait until he got back, which was 9:30, when I would normally be in bed prior to getting married and moving in together. Normally I wouldn't have eaten past 7 or 8, but now I've been up waiting for him. I've probably had a snack or maybe a later dinner, and he's eating his post-workout when he comes home, and by that time, since I'm not sleeping, I'm experiencing a little bit more hunger again. And now that I'm experiencing more hunger again, my husband's eating, of course I want to share that experience with him, so I eat again. So by this time, because not everything about me has changed, I've already eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm ready for another meal, not intentionally, or at least another snack, but just because I'm up later than I would be. And the later you're up, the more energy your body will think it needs. I just didn't think it was nice to like go to bed before he got home, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to, but I also didn't think that was nice of me. So I would staying up made me still hungry, and then I would wake up, I'd be so tired because I would still wake up early. So we're living more for somebody else than we used to be for ourselves, which to some extent is okay and is normal, but we definitely need to find the practical balance there and communicate with our partner why that might not work for us long term. It took a few months, but when I finally realized that it was okay for me to go to sleep or to not eat when he was eating and have to share every eating experience with him, then the weight stopped coming on and it started coming off. And I just felt better because I felt like I was living more for myself and less for someone else. It's easy to blame somebody else and say like, the reason this is happening to me is because of them. But it's more rewarding and more beneficial long term to say, I'm going to take control of what I have control over, regardless of what's happening around me. Even though it may be harder, it's what's best for me in the long term. So even though it may be harder to just make a cup of tea while we're sitting together on the couch and he's eating snacks, I know what's best for me in the long term because I genuinely don't like the habit of eating just because somebody else is. I would rather eat because it's best for me, because I want it, not because it's influenced and situational. That's not a health promoting behavior that I want to have. It's not a healthy habit that I want to experience, right? Some people might need social encouragement to eat because they don't have that desire on their own, but I experience hunger cues on my own. I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner when I'm ready for it. So I don't need somebody else's hunger cues influencing my own because I hear my own. Is that fair? Now another example of this isn't my example because it's just not my experience, but this is something I see happen a lot with clients, is before getting married, they lived with their parents or they lived on their own and they did a lot of cooking, or their parents did a lot of cooking. Prior to moving in with their partner, they were the one in full responsibility of cooking, no longer their parents. And instead of cooking, them and their partner both influenced each other to eat out more, to order out more. And I know it's so easy when you have somebody encouraging you, but it's not, again, always the best health promoting behavior. So whenever something happens suddenly, whether it's weight gain or breakouts or whatever, I like to think about maybe low energy, what changed in my routine, in my daily life, in my meals that led me to this point. And a lot of times it's, you know what? I don't cook anymore. Or I grew up having home cooked meals, and the moment I moved out on my own or with my partner, I stopped having home cooked meals. That's gonna be pretty significant, right? So you're letting other people's cravings, other people's desires, other people's influence take precedent over your own needs. So you can influence that decision right back. So if somebody else wants to eat out more than you do, you can say, well, I cooked. And you can still eat out if you want to, but I'm gonna eat the food that I made at home. We can enjoy it together, or we can go our separate ways when it comes to meals. So you can eat your Popeyes while I'm eating my salad that I made or my Buddha bowl that I made, and we can share the experience together while eating different things. Or oftentimes just rope your partner into the cooking, into the meal planning. Hey, what do you want for dinners this week? And then you guys can do that grocery shopping, that meal planning together. Really just vocalize, maybe that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And you can keep doing it, but I don't want to keep doing it. And all I'm asking for is your support on me not doing it with you. I'll still share meal times with you, but I might order something different or not order at all. And I want you to be okay with that. You don't have to understand it, you don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to do it, but I want you to support it. And that's fair, right? A lot of times people want their partner, they won't change until their partner changes with them. You need to change on your own. You're gonna be with this person for the rest of your life, and you cannot wait on them for the rest of your life. Is that fair? Because you'll never make any change if you are waiting on somebody else every single time. And if you expect you and your partner to always think the same way and always have the same goals and the same desires, I think you should lower your expectations, because that's just not the case, right? No matter how married we are, individuals are gonna be individuals to some extent, always. It's bad or it's delicious. The third thing that I notice a lot is, to some extent, I know this sounds so weird, but it is loneliness. And I've seen this with clients and I've seen it with myself. You get married and you expect all of your emotional needs to be fulfilled because you have a partner now to fulfill them. But the truth is, that's just not realistic. And because your expectations are so high and you think that it's going to be perfect, when it's not met, you can easily feel very alone and confused. And because humans don't like to feel alone, because we're people who thrive off of social interaction, and we really want those needs met, when they're not met, we will look to meet it from another source. So this could be social media, this could be cigarettes, this could be something sweet. We're looking for something that's gonna give us that dopamine response. So if you're in the mood to watch a show with your partner and cuddle and whatever, and they're not in the same mood, you might go looking for that somewhere else. And that could easily be the safest choice, which is food. The safest, most accessible choice is typically food. For some people it's alcohol, for some people it's cigarettes, for some people it's other people, for some people it's social media, whatever it is. This often comes from not being comfortable and secure alone. It is 100% okay for your partner to not meet your needs, your social needs or your emotional needs all the time. That's okay, that's normal, right? We can't rely fully on any person to be there for us 100% of the time. Let's say they're on a meeting and you start crying while they're on a meeting for some reason. I don't know, this is just the weirdest example, I'm just saying it from my butt. You might feel really alone in that moment, like my partner's always working when I need them the most. So you go get dopamine, oxytocin response from something like food that obviously is a false, very temporary solution. And then you need to go getting more of it and more of it and more of it in order to keep that emotion satisfied. So even though you have a partner and you think you should never be alone, you still experience loneliness. That loneliness is super confusing to you and now feels a little bit maybe like shameful because nobody really talks about loneliness in relationships, even though it's normal. It's the shame, it's the feeling, it's all those different reasons why we look to food to cope with all of those. And a lot of it, again, is going to stem with not feeling like we by ourselves are enough or are good enough, but you alone are enough, and you have to be comfortable being alone with your thoughts and self-soothing and self-coping. So I like to challenge myself on this, where I will go on a walk without any music, any podcasts, and I won't call anybody, or take a drive without turning the radio on. Just complete silence, me and my thoughts alone. Because if you can be alone with your thoughts, then you're probably going to be a lot better at managing your emotions or any feelings of loneliness. Now, chronic loneliness is not a good thing. If that's the case, we need to build a community. We need to maybe find a partner that doesn't make us feel alone. But temporary loneliness, momentary loneliness, I think that's normal. And the last thing that tends to, I think, contribute to weight gain during marriage is not trusting your gut. You're letting your partner's choices on what to eat influence you, but your partner's body is different than your body, and it's telling you something different than your body is. So let's say it's 8 a.m. and I'm hungry and I'm ready for breakfast, because by 8 a.m. I typically am. Well, by 8 a.m. my husband isn't. He's ready at like 10 a.m., sometimes 11. At the beginning of our marriage, I would let that kind of make myself doubt my hunger. Like, should I wait? If he's not hungry, then I shouldn't be hungry. The truth is, everyone's hunger is different, and it will always be slightly different, right? And you have to make good decisions for your body and not somebody else's. Just the same way, if it's dinner time and you feel like you need a piece of toast with dinner, your partner feels like he doesn't, and then you're like, okay, well, he's not having bread, maybe I shouldn't have bread. You're making decisions based on what's best for his body, but not yours. And that could leave you in a position where you feel like an hour later, you're still not satisfied, you're grazing, you're looking for something, you have, let me just have this one half of this tiny cookie. And then that doesn't cut it, and you're like, well, why do I have cravings and he doesn't have cravings? So then you go and you have another half a cookie based off of shame alone, and then he's taking a shower and you're like, okay, he's not here, he can't see me, maybe I'll just have a few more pieces of chocolate. And that cycle of continuing to have shame around the things that you're eating or not eat something because somebody else isn't is going to keep you in a restrict and binge cycle, or maybe on a lower scale, a restrict and overeating cycle, which can feel just as bad sometimes. Eating to anybody else's cues besides your own is going to pull you further away from trusting your own body. And when you're not making decisions for your own body and you're making it for someone else's or what you think you should be doing, then we typically do end up overeating or eating to someone else's needs and not our own, which has our body respond in a way, in an unnatural way. Whenever you eat to somebody else's needs and not your own, your body is going to respond unnaturally. So let's say you're meant to sit at 150, but you're always responding to somebody else's hunger cues who's meant to sit at 170, then maybe you're going to find yourself sitting at 170 when your body's not happy there, and you'll feel the unhappiness there, right? And I just use numbers as an example. It doesn't, obviously everybody's happy weight's gonna be very different from the other person. When I make these videos, I typically have an outline of what it is I wanna talk about and an outline of the points that I wanna hit that I was thinking about in the shower or while I was doing my makeup, the points that I'm like, this is really what's heavy on my mind. This batter is so good. But whenever I'm talking, I wonder, am I executing this the right way? So if you feel like it gets confusing or I'm not executing the right way, and you're finding it hard to keep up, can you let me know in the comments? Like, all feedback is always welcome. I appreciate it. Right, yay! Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts, your questions, your comments, your concerns, your everything about that in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you guys never miss a video. And if you want to see the finished project of these delicious, almost vegan because I use regular dairy yogurt, but you can easily use a dairy-free yogurt, bars, peanut butter bars, oh my gosh. The recipe will be in the caption below. Hold on, let me take this to better lighting for a close-up, okay? So you can see the dream that I'm living. I would love to know what you want to talk about next. I know sometimes these kitchen conversations are super niche conversations, but we're all people going through the same stuff, right? So figure if I could use it, so can you. Let's go to better lighting. These bars are so thick, they're so dreamy. They're like very, very sturdy bars. I think they're actually gonna be super filling, more like a snack bar. So good, so worth it. And they were so easy to make. Okay, bye, see you in the next one.